So, hello everybody, it's Wyvern here with a video meant to discuss the unit that people will be getting in apparently alongside the Norska patch for the dwarves, and also just to speculate. Obviously, that wouldn't make much of a video to just discuss one unit that's only just been announced, but I also want to do a little bit of speculating because there's definitely a lot that this could potentially be giving away about, or what we might see in the future, or what we'll hopefully might be seeing with the way Total War Warhammer 2 will develop, and Total War Warhammer in general, I suppose. So, nonetheless, obviously we've known that Norska is coming for a little while, and originally what I assumed and a lot of others assumed is that it's basically just going to be Norska coming in. Obviously, Norska is getting some updates of its own, probably some new technologies to coincide with the new capitals that are available on Mortal Empires, probably some new monster hunts, obviously, to coincide with the huge new world that you've got to deal with. But Norska, as far as we know right now, is not really being changed. But what they did release today, CA did release, was this short little video of the Giant Slayers, and I do have it set here on the stats form, just because I wanted to discuss them a little bit. And this is cool for a few reasons. First of all, just because it opens up, it kind of covers a weakness the dwarves had before. They really didn't have a melee answer to anti-large. As you can see by these stats, these guys are going to be pretty monstrous at killing big armored targets. Before, units like Demigryphs, even Empire Knights, even Reiksguard or Dragon Princes, or units like that could really kind of run amok in your backline, because Dwarves Slayers obviously do have pretty solid armor piercing despite their non-armor piercing status, but it would still take them a really long time to tear down heavily armored troops. Even Black Knights or Black Knights with Lances and Barding would be a tough customer for these guys to put down, and the end result was that really that heavy cav was a big problem for the Dwarves, and if you could get it into the backline fairly easily. So what we're seeing here is these Giant Slayers. You can see 43 damage, armor piercing. So obviously over half of it is going to be AP, probably most of it. I'd assume something like a 30-13 split or something like that, with a further bonus against large that we are not being shown here. Obviously, their other stats are identical to the Slayers, with Death Blow, Unbreakable, Magic Resistance, ability to hide in forests, all that sort of stuff. Of course, speed is setting at 40. Melee attack, though, is much higher. It's at 50, whereas I do believe standard Slayers are only 38. And the melee defense is only 30 to the normal Slayers 32. Their charge bonus is also a little higher. But obviously, despite all their stats, these guys are all their stat similarities to Slayers. These guys are going to have that monster weapon strength and with AP, and that's, I think, really going to shake things up. Obviously, there's still the problem that these guys are probably going to be a lot more expensive than normal Slayers. Based on kind of my guesstimates, as well as some others, we're probably I would assume that this unit is going to cost somewhere between 1,100 and 1,300 in gold and multiplayer, probably something similar in campaign. But this obviously, alongside the fact that it provides you with a melee anti-large with armor piercing, it's also going to be cool for the fact that it means that Ungrim, who previously, Ungrim was a super niche lord, and I think this will coincide with a lot of improvements to Ungrim in general. But previously, Ungrim, who was basically a lord you didn't pick ever, unless you were just doing it for fun, is going to have a pretty viable Mass Slayer build. Before, you really couldn't do Mass Slayers because Mass Slayers are just so bad against armor, but now with this sort of option with Giant Slayers, and obviously Ungrim has a bunch of Slayer-oriented techs, you're really going to be able to get some pretty potent Slayer-built comps out there that will replenish incredibly quickly, and you could do a pretty high-speed Dwarven build with the backing of some Rangers, for example. You could have some Dwarf army that's booking it easily over at around 40 speed, 40, maybe even a little over 40 speed with Ungrim's boosts. Furthermore, I would like to speculate that there's a good chance Ungrim will get his own a new starting position, because there was some discussion of starting positions being changed around, and I think it's not too much of a stretch to say Ungrim will probably get a unique starting position at Karak Kadrin. Outside of all the meta changes, though, I think it's also worth noting that obviously, and this is speculation, guys. So obviously, if you don't want to do your speculation, then I said you don't have to listen here. But I'll just be speculating here. I do want to discuss a little bit what we might be seeing and what I personally hope or would expect we will see. We were told that there would be more updates for the dwarves. Apparently, these will not be unit updates. Not entirely surprising. The dwarf unit roster is basically complete right now. They're probably one of the more fleshed out rosters in the game, with the possible exception of Tomb Kings and Wood Elves. They're really one of the most filled up, I think, factions in the game, but especially with the addition of Giant Slayers. But It is possible that we will get crafting, I think. That might be the update we will get with the dwarves. I could really see that alongside the fact that Ungrim gets moved and that Slayers, obviously we'll get some new units. We might get some improvements to the dwarves with a crafting system like what the Tomb Kings have, because I really think that would really suit the dwarves sort of play style, or what the dwarves are in lore. Alongside that, I think then this is one unrelated to dwarves, but I think that we might. This has obviously opened the door for the fact that CA is willing to go back and significantly change or make some serious improvements and changes to old world factions that we hadn't really seen before. Obviously, Bretonnia got a handful of new techs. There were some pretty significant stat changes. Obviously, Dryads got huge buffs, range changes. Improvements to unit stats, and some balance changes. All of this has been going on for a while. So, and of course, the new items for heroes and quick match and all that. So obviously there have been a lot of changes, but this does show, I think, that they're willing to add new units. And obviously this might mean that in the future we will be seeing more unique units because from the other old world factions. Obviously Orcs missing their spears and spear chuckas. You've got the Empire, which is still missing a huge selection of troops. Obviously they have a massive selection of different knightly orders. They've got their they've got the bowmen unit. They've got, could even say the One Forge World, the Marienburg Landship, or whatever it was. Obviously could be a potential option. And I think it could really open the door as well to seeing some of the legendary lords like the Red Duke or perhaps Boris getting unique starting spots and being added as a proper legendary lord. And I would really hope for that. I personally am really hoping this is what this sort of indicates, this promise of reworking older factions. But while I'm obviously not holding, I'm not holding my breath, I definitely would hope that might indicate it. We might see some new units implemented. I'd assume there's going to be some additional units. I think what CA is doing is perhaps trying to flesh out the factions they didn't flesh out before. I know a lot of people have complained that the Beastmen, for example, didn't get the Gorgon and the Jabberslight, so I could see that those potentially could make the cut. Though obviously they previously had a no DLC for DLC policy. We might see it as a free download. It would be pretty cool. So I really am kind of inspired, or definitely hoping, have some pretty high hopes here, that we will see some new starting positions, some new units, and some serious reworks or some serious looking at for the old world factions that I previously hadn't really expected, coming alongside this Norsca faction and the coming months afterwards. Also, I think it's worth touching on that it doesn't appear that this will be coming at the cost of Warhammer 2 factions. From what's been released and the free LC Lord discussion, it seems that the next free LC Lord, or the free LC sort of timeline, it looks like the next free LC will probably be a Lizardmen Lord, which would obviously be pretty cool. There's a whole bunch of speculation. Others have done a lot of videos. I personally don't want to speculate. I don't know enough about Lizardmen lore. Whereas, for example, with Skaven, I would feel, or Skaven, or factions like that, I would feel a little more comfortable. But with Lizardmen, I don't really feel comfortable guessing. There's others who have done videos on that, but nonetheless, we will probably be getting a Lizardmen free LC Lord, and it's likely that this will coincide with a Warhammer 2 DLC, which will give us the remaining Dark Elf, and High Elf units, as well as some Lords. So I think we're really seeing, and especially this definitely shows, I think, with the Tomb Kings, who came out with an almost a complete roster, minus the Giant, who's completely redundant with the Hydro Titan. I think what we're really seeing is that CA is willing to improve all the factions, trying to flesh everything out, get as many units in as they can, or getting getting as many units from the faction rosters in as they can. Whereas before, they didn't flesh those factions out fully in Warhammer 1, but it looks like we'll get some of those old world factions upgraded. So definitely looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to see what CA is going to do in the future, what they're going to tell us, and hopefully keep us informed. Obviously, guys, this is speculation. Besides the Giant Slayers here, which we do see the stats for, and which I can make some serious speculations about meta from my multiplayer experience and what impact it can make on, for example, Ungrim, who previously didn't really have a viable all-Slayer build. Outside of that, all of this is just speculation, but I definitely could see that in the future we'll see some serious reworks, serious improvements for not just the dwarves, but even all the other old world factions. And I'm definitely hoping that is the case. I definitely am looking forward to see what happens. So I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. Obviously, it was mostly me rambling, not really doing much in the way of this gameplay or anything like that. Simply wondering what we might be seeing, and also discussing some of the potential for the Slayers and more practical things like that. So I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. I do hope you found it entertaining, or at least enjoyed, I guess, seeing some perspective. My perspective. If you have, obviously, I assume all of you have your own ideas and all of you have your own perspectives. So if you want to share those, if you want to post down below what you think we might be seeing, what you guys think this might indicate, if you think if even the Giant Slayers might be completely pointless, whatever, be sure to share down below. I'd love to see what everyone's got to say, and I'll check it out and respond as soon as I can. As usual, guys, I do appreciate you for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye for now.